So, Diddy got a victory of sorts yesterday. The judge in his upcoming criminal trial, which starts next week, has said the Menendez brothers, in their first trial particularly, if you remember, Leslie Abramson, their lawyer, we've talked about this. Diddy's defense is that he's a swinger and not a criminal.
That this is his lifestyle.
And
this is nothing criminal. This is just.
And it may not telegraph well. And I'm really being serious here. This is they talk about this.
Yeah, what do you see?
Well, no, don't do that, Devin. Not at work anyway.
No, what I guess my big issue is what a swinger doesn't look like. That you don't want to go against what.
Because by the way, swingers do wear suits and ties.
I understand that. I'm talking about subtleties. What about a really nice suit and a tie,
right?
But a black shirt?
Buckle up, folks. Things just took a wild turn in the world of celebrity news. Diddy's criminal trial is about to get underway next week, and it's not just the accusations that are causing a stir. His outfit might be the biggest controversy yet. After months of wearing a prison jumpsuit, a judge has ruled that Diddy can now wear street clothes for his trial.
Brilliantly, I might say, as a defense lawyer, put them in sweaters the entire trial.
They look like
wholesome,
preppy kids.
So
couldn't possibly have done.
So what you just said is not only important, but it's something that the lawyers and the jury consultants talk about a lot.
There will be several meetings about what he wears into court the first time he is there.
So let me give you the twist in this case that is different from all the other cases in terms of how you dress.
But here's the catch. This isn't just about comfort. It's a strategic move that could play a massive role in his defense. Diddy's team claims he's not a criminal. He's just a swinger living his truth. So, the jury needs to see him in a light that aligns with his defense.
How I choose to lead my personal life when it comes to sexual partners.
So the jury has got to look at Diddy as a guy who would be a swinger. You put this guy in a cardigan or a Brooks Brothers suit, they've got to believe this guy is a swinger and that is his lifestyle.
I get it's all about optics here, but like Harvey, when you were like very passionate about this morning, what does a swinger look like? Like to me, a swinger.
Thank you, Devin. I was going to ask
in
him,
all shapes and sizes, and they dress differently.
I know that.
What do you think a swinger looks like when they dress?
Swinger.
But what's the right look? Should he go for a sleek suit and tie to show that he's a professional businessman? Or should he lean into his nightclub persona, the one he's known for in the industry? Lawyers and jury consultants are all saying that how he dresses will have a direct impact on how the jury perceives his character.
They're trying to sell to the
I
jury.
Disagree with you. I disagree.
This happens every day.
Here's what he needs to present to the jury, that he is taking this very seriously.
Yes,
this is my lifestyle, but I'm taking this very seriously, and a suit and tie would be fine.
So let me ask you something. I get it, and he should. Make it, in other words, you don't, and I know.
So you're saying dress like nightclub Diddy?
What I'm saying.
You want gold chains?
Do you think he's going to put like crazy jewelry?
I know a lot of you guys who are watching this are thinking, oh, this is so frivolous and so stupid. Lawyers and jury consultants spend a lot of time talking about.
It's the ultimate fashion statement, but one that could determine his future. Speaking of controversial statements, President Trump is back in the spotlight, and this time, it's for some truly puzzling comments.
What the defendant should wear in court. And this is a particularly dicey case because of what the defense is trying to sell to the jury.
Yeah, I mean, in some way, it would have been easier. I wouldn't have been better for him, but it would have been easier if the judge, for whatever reason, said, no, you got to wear the prison jumpsuit.
Oh, God, that would be a disaster.
It would be a disaster. But at least he wouldn't have to. Now he's got all sorts of options. And I don't know. I kind of understand what you're saying, that maybe nightclub Diddy is
but not
the way
even,
to go.
Not full nightclub. I'm just saying.
At a recent town hall, Trump was asked about his decision to cut billions in funding from Harvard University. Instead of answering the question head-on, Trump veered into a bizarre rant about Harlem, the black community, and his supposed support among black voters. The internet went wild trying to figure out how this even remotely related to the question about academic freedom. Was it a slip of the tongue, or was he playing to the crowd? It certainly seemed like he heard Harlem instead of Harvard.
That you just.
All right, so you didn't answer. Chains or no chains?
No chains.
No chains?
Yeah. Yeah, I was joking about that in the morning meeting.
Okay.
But And look, I'm not. It's that you don't want to make it difficult for the jury to believe the story the defense is telling. That can be done through how he acts in court, his expressions in court, and how he looks and dresses in court.
Yeah.
And it's all really relevant. And I will tell you, folks.
But the result was a confusing exchange that left people wondering if he was intentionally trying to align himself with a certain demographic, or if it was a major PR fail. Trump's response has sparked a wave of reactions across the political spectrum, with many questioning whether this kind of off-the-cuff rhetoric is doing more harm than good. Now, let's talk family drama on a whole new level. Bill Belichick's relation.
In the Menendez case, those sweaters made a difference because it was really hard to reconcile what you're looking at there with two cold-blooded murderers.
Right.
And it was really hard for them to reconcile. And
Now,
half the jury didn't find them
now,
guilty.
In the second trial, did they wear suits?
They did not wear sweaters in the second trial as much.
Oh, they were, the
Yeah.
second trial, they were in their...
Relationship with girlfriend Jordan Hudson is causing a stir, but this time it's coming from an unlikely source, his own family. His daughter-in-law has come out swinging, publicly calling out Jordan for unprofessional behavior during an interview. The tension reached a boiling point when she blasted Jordan for delaying an interview and storming off set. But here's where it gets interesting. Some people think this goes beyond just a family spat. Bill's daughter-in-law might be concerned about what this means for Bill's legacy.
How does the
jumpsuits.
judge decide that, by the way?
Well,
like
and
if
that-
they're allowed to wear just whatever.
Why did they have to wear their prison jumpsuits the second time around?
You're opening a whole can of worms here. The judge in that case was Stanley Weisberg, both
Right.
in the first and the
And the
second
second.
trial.
Right.
In the first trial, the judge allowed all sorts of things that, for whatever reason, without explaining, he didn't allow in the second trial. And a lot of people felt the judge wanted
Was
the two of
pushing
them
toward-
convicted.
Especially when it comes to his image. Could this be a deeper issue? Is she looking out for the family's reputation, or is there something more personal at play here? Meanwhile, Gwyneth Paltrow is still making waves after her ski accident trial. After she won the case for a symbolic $1, yes, just $1, she's speaking out about her thoughts on the legal system. Gwyneth doesn't just see herself as a victim of a frivolous...
And that is part of the strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to move on. This is, wow.
Buckle up, because there was a town hall meeting on with President Trump on News Nation last night. You had Chris Cuomo, you had Bill O'Reilly, and a guest to this sort of to this arena,
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith, who of course is the famed sports pundit, NBA expert. But last night he wasn't talking playoffs; he's talking politics with the president. And at one point during the conversation, Stephen A.
this lawsuit. She believes this case exposed the flaws in a system that allows people to sue over anything. But is Gwyneth the right person to be leading this charge? After all, she's someone who can afford to fight these kinds of battles. For many, it's a luxury they can't afford. While Gwyneth's $1 win is seen by some as a small victory, others are questioning whether it's just a way for her to make a point, rather than a true resolution to a broken system. From Hollywood.
Brought up a very big issue right now for the president, which is his battle with Harvard University and withdrawing billions of dollars of grants to the university. So Stephen poses that question. Why in the world President Trump's response was basically that they love me in Harlem? I don't know. Watch this and then we're going to get into it.
When people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack?
Scandals to political drama, former Congressman George Santos is now gearing up for a very different kind of spotlight: prison. After being sentenced to 87 months in prison for wire fraud and identity theft, Santos is facing a future behind bars. But here's the kicker: he's warning the prison guards. He's concerned about his safety, and he's not afraid to make some
On academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness. What do you say to that?
Well, I say this: we had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, if you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happen to be on my side. You know, I got a very high black vote. You know that. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets 4 or 5
noise. But by speaking out so publicly, is he putting himself in even more danger? Only time will tell. What's clear, though, is that Santos isn't going down without a fight. And if that's not enough chaos for you, let's talk about snakes. Yes, you read that right. Kyle Richards, living her best Beverly
$1 billion a year from the United States government in the form of grant, and they have $53 billion, and yet they don't treat the people right.
So the president meandered into the real discussion of Harvard.
30 seconds.
But the Harlem thing and the black voters support him and all of that. Number one, I wonder, did somebody pass him a note because he was on the phone and say,
Hill's life was recently confronted with an unexpected visitor, a snake in her Palm Springs home. But this wasn't just any snake. The entire family freaked out, and they didn't even know what they were dealing with. Turns out it was a gopher snake, not a rattlesnake, but the panic was still real.
it's about Harvard.
The question was about Harvard.
Why did he start with a Stephen A. Smith question?
I mean,
that was specifically, by the way, not just about Harvard, but he said about academic freedom.
Right.
And then immediately starts talking about Harlem and black people.
You guys didn't understand that answer? No, it did make sense. If I had to guess, I would think that he originally misheard Stephen A. Smith's question, and then I think you're right, Harvey or Charles, I don't know who said it. I think somebody probably did whisper or slip him a note like, hey, you didn't ask about Harlem here.
Yeah, but
or he's got talking points.
Academic, he specifically said academic freedom. So there's no way, even if you misheard.
Kyle called animal control and the UO. Snake was safely removed. But it's a reminder that even in the poshest of neighborhoods, nature can still strike. And as if Hollywood wasn't already chaotic enough, we're getting updates on the controversial Rust movie. The film that was tragically tied to the shooting death of Helena Hutchins is finally being released. Director Joel Souza, who was also injured in the incident, admits that he has mixed feelings about the film's release. In an emotional interview, he
even if he did hear Harlem instead of Harvard, what the hell does academic freedom have to do?
Well, why don't you close the loop and say what you think? Because you think he said it because Stephen A. Smith is black. I mean, that's what you're saying, right?
Yes, because he immediately saw that the person asking the question was black, and so let me give him what he believes to be his credentials in the black community before anything else, even though it has nothing to do with the topic.
There is absolutely no question in anyone's mind who watches that video other than he saw a black man speaking to him and he saw that association.
Claimed that he regrets even writing the movie in the first place. Despite this, he went ahead and finished it out of respect for Hutchins' family, but now he's questioning whether it was worth it. The cloud of tragedy still hangs over the film, and many are wondering if the public is ready to watch something tied to such a dark moment.
And started talking about Harlem. Now, I don't say he did this with malice, that he hates black people, but in his brain somewhere, subconsciously, a black man speaking must be talking about a black topic.
I gotta suck up to the guy who's asking me the question, so he'll like me and he won't follow up and ask me a harder question.
Hi, my name is Medusa. I'm reporting live from Philly, and my comment is that Donald Trump is a liar. He don't know nothing that he's talking about. All he do is lie. As far as we know that majority of black people voted for Kamala Harris. He must have us mistaken for the Latino community. But as far as the black community,
this regret is palpable, and it's clear that the events surrounding Rust will continue to haunt everyone involved for years to come. But not all news is filled with tension and controversy. Some moments are lighter, like Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet at a Lakers game. The couple was spotted courtside.
And Steph, we do know a little bit more about what jury selection will look like. The judge wants it to last only 2 days, giving the rest of the week to both sides to prepare for those opening statements. And there will be special care taken for those potential jurors because of the nature of this case. Part of jury selection will be done in private. They're going to have to ask them about their history with sexual assault. So obviously not something that people necessarily want.
Sharing a passionate kiss as they watch the game unfold. But what's really interesting is how their dynamic is evolving. While earlier in their relationship, it seemed like Timothée was a little more reserved. Now he's openly affectionate with Kylie and
he goes, "We don't care for you," and he know that. So bye, Donald.
Look, he did get more support
from the black community than I think pretty much any Republican this century.
But that ain't gonna help it. That was.
Weird. Okay.
You know, the Jews love me, Harvey. The Jews
Right.
love me.
Right. Okay, we're taking a break.
When we come back, the criticism of Bill Belichick and his girlfriend is no longer coming from outside sources.
Public. Are they just enjoying the spotlight, or is this relationship something more serious than we thought? The couple looks more comfortable than ever, and fans are definitely keeping a close eye on every move they make. But hold up, there's a whole other level of drama brewing in the background.
Done out in the open. Sean Combs will also be allowed to wear his own personal clothes. He doesn't have to wear the jumpsuit that we've been seeing in these bail hearings. But one thing that we do not know right now is who exactly is going to take that witness stand. There's been a lot of discussion about that now infamous hotel tape regarding Cassie Ventura. If they end up using that, she likely will be called to the stand, as well as there's a potential for other celebrities. They could be called to the stand as well. This trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks.
As Kesha might just be in a new relationship. We spotted the singer holding hands with a mystery man at LAX, and when our photographer asked if they were dating, Kesha threw us for a loop with a cheeky comment. No, I'm just using him for...
I think it's gone to the next level because instead of people in the media, instead of fans, even former players talking about it, now Bill's family is getting in on this.
So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So Bill's daughter-in-law, meaning that she is married to Bill's son.
Right.
The daughter-in-law posts this.
So there was a post on social media. We showed you Julian Edelman and Gronk talking about the situation.
And saying no big deal.
Right. So they posted it and said, oh, she's just a publicist. Nikki Glazer jumped into the conversation. And then Jenny, the daughter-in-law, responds, publicists act in a professional manner and don't storm off set delaying an interview.
For sex, she joked. But who is this guy? Turns out, he's Michael Givey, a professor of entrepreneurship at Baruch University. It seems like Kesha is keeping things casual for now, but who knows where this could lead. This week has been filled with jaw-dropping revelations, from courtrooms.
Wow, a lot going on there, Alex. But do we know anything about how Combs' lawyers are planning to mount a defense?
You know, he's denied all of the charges, but in a hearing last month, they previewed a little bit about what this defense is going to look like, and they're calling it the swingers defense. Swinging as in being able to sleep with different people if you're having different partners. They say not only was this common, but that all of it was consensual, and so that is likely what they're going to hang their hat on. Not necessarily that these situations didn't happen, but that they were common and that they were consensual among all of the parties involved. Obviously, not what the government is alleging.
Dramas to high-profile romances. Whether it's Diddy's fashion choices or Kesha's. Cheeky remarks? One thing's for sure, the stars are always keeping us on the edge of our seats. Stay tuned because we're just getting started. Who knows what will happen next in the unpredictable world of Hollywood?
His daughter-in-law is saying that.
So you think that his son is also in step? I don't think necessarily.
Not necessarily. But if you had to bet, is she going to go off the reservation if the son is supporting it?
She may feel.
Okay. Here's what I'm saying, and
You can have an independent thought.
And I'm going to have an independent thought, and this is, I understand speculation, but I have seen it over my career, that sometimes when a younger woman emerges on the scene with an older guy, older guy has kids.
Here we go.
Well, I've seen it. This happened with my housekeeper, and I told you this story. No, a long time ago, I've told you this story.
I know.
And
it's true.
And all of a sudden he marries her, maybe. What happens with a will? And I'm not saying
Hollywood is always buzzing with something new, and this time we're witnessing another intriguing twist. Kesha and Michael Givey's potential relationship is making headlines, and the question is being raised. Is this just a casual fling, or could it turn into something more serious? Kesha, known for her candidness about her life, recently joked that she's only using him for sex. But we all know that in Hollywood, nothing is ever quite as simple as it seems. It might just be playful banter.
Why in the world was she in court? This was years ago, and obviously it's still
one of the great trials.
It really was.
It is the hoitiest of toitiest trials.
This was over the ski accident at Deer Valley in Utah. She and Dr. Terry, what was his name? I can't remember.
Oh God, I forgot his name.
Dr.
But remember,
Terry
and she was saying that they went for a bonding trip and it ruined their whole spa day.
Yes, great testimony. Well, Gwyneth clearly still has.
And she won. She won big.
Well, she won. I don't know about big. We'll get to that. But here's what she said on the world's first podcast with Sarah Foster. Definitely some ill will she still feels toward the doctor.
Oh my God, Gwyneth in court is literally like, it was such an amazing thing to watch.
She's who I want to be. Gwyneth in court is who I want to be.
God. Well, the best part of it really was just how the internal eye roll the whole time at the fact that you were there at all. The whole thing felt so.
But who knows what might come out of this connection? And speaking of the chaos in Hollywood, it's hard to predict what we'll see next. From Kesha's potential romance to President Trump's controversial comments, every day brings something new and captivating. This week's headlines are proof that we're just scratching the surface, and the next big star or scandal could be just around the corner. But that's the reality of Hollywood. Every new day brings fresh challenges.
Honestly funny because it was so ridiculous.
You know, it was ridiculous. And I have to say, like, the idea that somebody could ski into your back and knock you down and then sue you, I was like, this is everything that's wrong with our legal system.
Literally.
And that's why I felt like I had to fight it. I was like, I'm not going to be shaken down here.
No.
Like, I'm not doing that.
Well, she certainly gave us hours of entertainment with this.
So much entertainment. And you're right, she did win. By the way, I should say,
she got a penny, didn't she, or something like
$1.
$1.
$1 when she countersued him.
Well, she only got $1.
That's all she wanted.
That's all she asked for.
She wanted to make a point. Yeah.
She might have got a lot more and made a point.
And as stars face these challenges, they often view their past triumphs and struggles through a new lens. Take Bill Belichick, for example. Despite his personal troubles, he's remained a strong figure in his professional life. But with the recent public criticisms from his family, especially his daughter-in-law, questions are being raised. Is this just a personal dispute? Or
going to the substance of what she said, doesn't she have a point here? Like, the trial was sort of a farce, right? There was no real claim that he had. But
well, no. He did have a claim. He said she ran into him.
But it was false. I mean,
right. I mean, that was his claim, and the jury said it's not true.
So we in our system, we allow everybody to sue, and then it comes out as it was. But Gwyneth Paltrow can withstand the financial burden, but a lot of people can't. I think there's a point here that this kind of like frivolous lawsuits are really bringing down our system.
We say this all the time, that you can sue for anything.
Right.
And yeah, that means someone's gonna have to go through the process, but
is there a bigger story behind it? This week's stories remind us that every star is trying to conceal their vulnerabilities, but eventually the truth always surfaces. Whether it's Diddy's trial, Trump's unexpected remarks, or Bill Belichick's family drama, these narratives are slowly turning into a saga we can't ignore. One thing is clear, the game is far from over, and every new day brings us fresh secrets and rumors. Watching the internal battles unfold in Hollywood, it's safe to say that anything could happen. All we can do is sit back and wait to see where these stories lead in the coming days.
If the alternative, how do you fix that, Jason?
Well,
like,
in Europe, for example, the losing party typically has to pay the prevailing party's attorney's fees.
But not in a personal injury case in the United States, and that's the problem.
Not in the United States.
So
right.
that's something you could change.
But then you would say, on the other side, the way Europe does it, it prevents sort of people who can't afford lawyers in the first place from being able to bring their claims because the fear of loss is too great to bankrupt them.
And they may have a good claim, but that doesn't mean they're going to win. You never know if you're going to win. And if you're not sure and you end up having to pay attorney's fees, you just don't sue and you don't vet your legal rights.
As Hollywood continues to spin its web of drama and intrigue, it's clear that the stars are no longer just dealing with their personal lives behind closed doors. With the rise of social media and the 24/7 news cycle, every move is under a microscope. But as much as they try to hide their flaws and struggles,
so therein lies the issue.
Hi, my name is Alan. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I agree with Gwyneth Paltrow. Something is wrong with the legal system. I just don't know that she should be the one speaking on it because she won the settlement on a ski lawsuit. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, something is wrong. But it's like, maybe you're just privileged and didn't realize it just now or something.
Well, something may be wrong, but let me be honest with me for a second.
the truth is always one scandal away from coming to light. Take, for example, the ongoing saga of Gwyneth Paltrow's recent trial over her ski accident. Her victory, with the symbolic $1 award, was celebrated by some as a stand for justice, but to others...
Did you kind of enjoy the trial?
I didn't watch the trial.
You missed a good one.
You missed a good one.
You
oh my
you can get
God.
the DVD online or something.
It was fabulous. Okay, we got to take a break.
All right, when we come back, George Santos, former congressman, getting ready to go to prison, and he has a warning. He's actually issuing a warning to the guards. He says, nothing better happen to me. If it does, if I am harmed, it's gonna be hell to pay. How can he make these claims? You'll be here. Can't wait for this conversation.
It highlighted the immense privilege she holds in being able to engage in such legal battles. Gwyneth's victory may seem like a small win, but it raises larger questions about the access to justice that only the wealthy can afford. Was it truly a win?